Welcome to the Zion Teacher Series, which is presented by Zion Fellowship International. Zion Fellowship is a Christian fellowship of churches and Bible schools located in the U.S., Canada, and around the world. Our featured speaker is Dr. Brian J. Bailey, who for over 30 years was president of Zion Fellowship International and Zion Christian University. Dr. Bailey has authored over 50 books on biblical subjects and traveled around the world ministering in churches, seminars, and Bible schools. Today, Dr. Bailey will conclude his series on the goodness and severity of God by examining Psalms 11, in which we see a righteous God who walks with the upright in heart. Please join with us now as we open our heart to what the Lord wants to speak to us through this study.
Welcome again to our series on the goodness and severity of God. God is a good God. And that is something we want to impress into your hearts. God is a good God. But I'd like to look at Psalm 11 with you in this period. And in Psalm 11, it speaks of the righteous God who loveth righteousness, who indeed walketh with the upright in heart. You know, we have a saying in life, and of course it's borne out in nature too, that likes go to likes. For example, birds of a feather flock together. And I don't know whether you have observed springtime that birds do flock together, and even birds with two, shall I say, stripes, black stripes, they all flow together, and those without the stripes, they flow together, but they don't mix. Likes go to likes. And one of the things that I have observed in life is this. If someone comes into church and I do not know them, and I need to know them, of course, I wait and I see. Whom do they relate to? Whom do they relate to? And it's true. It's not long before they'll associate with a certain group of people. Likes go to likes. And those that love righteousness, they flock with others who are of the same mind. Those who are devious, they somehow find the others who are devious. It's a fact of life. You know, we made this statement when I was on the faculty of a certain Bible college, and we had a faculty meeting, and we were discussing the new intake. Now, the new intake, we really had no knowledge of them. We didn't know them. And we probably had only one or two lessons with them. May have been the first week or two. And we were musing together in the faculty. And we were saying, well, who is so-and-so like, and so forth. And then someone said, I observed so-and-so walking with so-and-so. We said, we've got a problem there, haven't we? Because we had a problem with that other person. And this new fellow was immediately gravitated to that person that we had trouble with. And others, they gravitated with good people that we didn't have trouble with. But you soon know people by their friends. Even a child, see who that child goes with. You know the child. You know the child. Well, it's the same with people. And it all comes from God. Because the righteous God loveth righteousness. He loveth the upright in heart. And he dwelleth in the midst of those who are upright and righteous. And I want to emphasize that, you see. And his blessing comes upon the righteous. He blesses the righteous. His goodness is manifested to those who are upright in heart. Upright in heart. Well, in this psalm, you see, Psalm 11, it speaks of the wicked and God's attitude toward the wicked. Upon the wicked, he shall shower brimstone, fire, burning, plagues. Yes, God makes a difference. And God blesses the righteous, and he judges with severity the wicked. The goodness and severity of God. But there are reasons why God manifests goodness to some and severity to others. It is because of their lifestyle. You know, there was a very wicked king in Israel. His name was Ahab. And he was the most wicked king of all the kings that had sat on the throne of Israel. And God sent drought into Israel for 3.5 years at the word of Elijah. Well, God judged Ahab and all his people because the people were just as wicked as Ahab. And the judgment came. But then Ahab, did one wicked act of wickedness after another. Until God said that's enough, sent Elijah after Ahab had murdered an innocent person, Naboth, and God sent Elijah. You're going to die. Now then, Ahab, when he received that word from Elijah, he put on sackcloth and ashes, and he walked very softly before God. God said to Elijah, have you seen the effect of that word upon Ahab? In other words, Ahab has changed. He's acknowledged my word. He fears my word. And so God said, that judgment shall not come in his lifetime. The judgment will come because of all the wickedness he'd done. But God, seeing a turn, shows forth his goodness even upon the wicked man. God will bless. In fact, later on in the history of Israel, now the northern tribes have gone into captivity, and there remains just the kingdom of Judah. We have the righteous king Hezekiah, followed by a very wicked king Manasseh, who spilt blood virtually in every street of Jerusalem, had idols everywhere. God's put him into captivity. He comes back repentant. But afterwards, his seed, Josiah was a good man, yes. But after that, there followed wicked kings until God had determined to destroy Jerusalem and the temple. But God was ever offering to those wicked kings, Jehoiakim, Jehoiachin, and Zedekiah. He was always holding out his hand. He said, look, if you will change, if you will keep my Sabbath, if you will liberate your slaves amongst the Hebrews, he said, I will bless you and I will not destroy Jerusalem. God was forever holding out his hands in his goodness and his kindness. And he was saying, look, even to the wicked kings, look, if you will change, I will avert judgment, and I will show forth my goodness, and I will cause the throne of David to remain forever. But some of these kings would do it just for a very short period, and then afterwards revert to their wicked ways. And so judgment came. But we have to see the nature of God, that God desperately wants to show forth his goodness. He's abundant in goodness and truth. You know, once the Lord appeared to me, this is the Lord Jesus, appeared to me and put out his arm and said, touch me. I'm altogether goodness. And what I understood by that was that God wanted that goodness to be revealed in my own life. What is goodness? Well, it always does that which is best for a person. Now, of course, that can manifest in different ways. Provision, you know, a person needs help, they get provision. It also can mean discipline and chastening, because that might be best for a person at a given time. But that is also the goodness of God. Now, we've said in Psalm 11 that the righteous God loveth righteousness, but upon the wicked, well, it's going to be different. He will send forth his plagues and his judgment. Now, I want to tell you a story, and you may be aware of it, you may not be aware of it. But it was in the time when the tsunami hit Sumatra in Indonesia. Now it's Christmas time, and there were Christians in that village. And the Christians wanted to celebrate Christmas up on a hill in that particular town. And so they made a decision to celebrate and worship God in that hill. Well, when that terrible tidal wave came, it destroyed countless homes, and how many people lost their lives, I don't know, amongst the people down below. Those who were not Christians. God preserved the Christians, but the Muslims were swept away. The interesting thing, afterwards, who helped the survivors? Well, it was the Christian nations. Did the Muslim nations help? Not a bit. No. But it was the Christians that helped. And many of the Muslims said, well, our own people don't help us, but the Christians do. And many converted to Christianity. And those places that were destroyed had beheaded many a pastor. And I knew the families of some who had been, shall I say, deprived of their father because he was a pastor and being beheaded.